From the outside, it's an ordinary house in the rural suburb of Belgrade. However, this house has now been dubbed as the House of Terrors. In the garage, there's this hidden room, and inside is this industrial meat grinder. Why is there a massive industrial meat grinder in a house? Does the owner own a sausage business, or is this person just a huge meat fanatic? No, it's much more sinister than that. The investigators will eventually find out that there are traces of human DNA on that grinder. What really happened? What we'll be talking about today wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the extremely brave Serbian journalist named Steven Dojnovic, whom we'll talk more about later, and the persistent European authorities who were able to crack the supposedly uncrackable phone network called Sky ECC. So let's talk more about the secretive network, Sky ECC, which enabled these criminals to commit such hideous and gruesome crimes. Sky ECC was like the holy grail for criminals. They thought that they were untouchable, using it with features like disappearing messages. It had remote wiping capabilities, military-grade encryption, and gangs and criminals were using this network to communicate and share their secrets. But then, European authorities launched an investigation suspecting that Sky ECC phones were primarily used for criminal activities. They discovered the servers in France, and in 2020, they successfully cracked the encryption and accessed over 2 million messages, including a bunch from Veliko Belivuk's group, who is the main suspect connected to the human slaughterhouse we'll talk about in this video. This was a game changer. Suddenly, investigators had this treasure trove of evidence. It really blew the lid off their whole operation. They now knew the extent of this group's crimes and all the chilling details. Belivuk's gang did everything possible to leave no evidence, such as getting rid of bodies, wiping out CCTV footage, ending the lives of potential witnesses and whistleblowers. Yet, they constantly shared messages and pictures of them actually doing the gruesome act. Sky ECC was used to coordinate and document their calculated and cold-blooded crimes. They even took pictures of their victims getting decapitated and their bodies being disposed of in a nearby river. So who is this notorious guy named Belivuk, and why is his group doing these inhumane things? Let me explain the background of this underground world very simply, so stay with me. I'll map it out for you so you can see the whole picture. You just need to know two major players in this whole Balkan underworld power struggle, the Kavac clan and the Skaliari clan. Belivuk is the leader of a Serbian group called Principi, and his group was closely allied with the Kavac clan. They were essentially enforcers for this much larger criminal organization called the Kavac clan, kind of like the muscle. They operated within this network of football hooligans, which has a long history in the Balkans, often very closely tied to organized crime. It's more like a breeding ground for criminal activities. In the Balkans, the stadium has long been a recruiting ground for organized crime groups. Going back to Belivuk, his group is at war with the groups that support the Skaliari clan. They're killing and being killed at this point, but Belivuk is not happy about the mess that is being left behind. All these bombs and assassinations just making too much mess. So he comes up with chilling motto: no body, no crime. By doing this, he believed that he could eliminate rivals while minimizing the risk of prosecution. They dismembered bodies, used the industrial meat grinder, and dumped the remains in the river. Victims would vanish without a trace, and by leaving no evidence, they were able to avoid police scrutiny. This motto, no body and no crime, also served as a psychological weapon. The group shared the graphic images with both their associates and enemies to create a climate of terror. You cross us, and these are the consequences. They would lure in a rival gang member to the slaughterhouse and torture him and grind him in the meat grinder. Then they would taunt the rival gang leader by sending pictures of the body to them. Can you imagine the audacity? They saw these gruesome acts as part of doing business, just a routine for them. Being in the same team didn't keep you safe either. If you were suspected of being a traitor, you were done. Belivuk even brought in a formal friend of his because he smelled something fishy. And just like his other victims, the ex-friend was tortured, decapitated, and was put in the same meat grinder. It makes you wonder about the level of paranoia within this group if they could turn on someone so close. I mean, who could you trust, right? It really shows how warped their whole sense of loyalty and trust had become. Now, I want to give huge credits to the journalists who made this all come to light. The investigation was largely spearheaded by the Serbian journalist Stevan Docinovic. Now, this man is not afraid to ruffle feathers. He's been investigating organized crime and corruption for years, and he's built quite a reputation as this fearless investigative journalist. He suggested that this wasn't just some rogue gang operating in isolation, and there were indications that they may have had connections to high-ranking officials in the Serbian government. Why would he suggest such a scandalous thing? Well, a few years before the whole Slaughterhouse thing was in full swing, a police officer was found in Belivuk's phone, and the secret content of these messages somehow ended up getting leaked to journalists. Then, Docinovic got his hands on a secret recording of another police officer holding a meeting with Belivuk's men. Something's weird here. Are they working with the police? In the meeting, a woman named Dijana Herkalovic is mentioned. Dijana is not just an ordinary woman. At the time, she was the second most powerful police official in Serbia. There was evidence that implicated Dijana to the organization. But here's the kicker. She was only charged with abuse of office, and she's already out of prison. This whole case is like peeling back layers of an onion, and each layer is more disturbing than the last, for sure. Then during Belivuk's trial, he claimed that he'd worked for Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić. Now, if this is indeed true, that's just mind-boggling. You can clearly see that the group has some kind of protection or perhaps partnership with the government. I should mention that the trial is still ongoing, and the president did not give any comment about this matter, and Belivuk and his crew still claim innocent and deny the charges. What do you think about all this? Advancement in technology sure is amazing and makes things easier for us, but at the same time, there are plenty of people who use technology as a weapon. It's not about condemning technology, but about understanding the risks and being proactive about minimizing them. Cracking those encrypted networks like SkyECC was huge for law enforcement, but it's probably just a small victory. Criminal organizations are always adapting, using new technologies and finding new ways. It's a constant arms race. I also just want to note once again how legendary Stevan Docinovic is. It was so brave to take on this investigation, knowing the risks. This was really dangerous for him. But this is a perfect example of what investigative journalism should be, holding the powerful accountable and shining a light on corruption. Thanks for joining me today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and it would mean a great deal to me if you like this video and subscribe to my channel so I can continue this work. Thank you.